at some point we are going to have to do a whole show about how good this show sounds.
Everybody, welcome to Downballot. We do this most Tuesdays right here on Twitch at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, but we'll be off next Tuesday. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your point of view, there's a Shasta County Board of Supervisors night meeting, so we'll be live at 5:30 p.m. Pacific next Tuesday for that. Me and the media wench, and maybe even a special guest. Who knows? Who knows?
Gavin Newsom?
Please. And we never have a Gordon Gecko on. If you want to support this project, go to echoplexmedia.com, click the support link at the very top of the website, and you can pick your favorite way to support. We haven't been selling as much merch lately, though, so you should buy some merch, maybe a Downballot shirt, so that people can go, what the fuck is that? And you can go, it's the 69th best California podcast in California. Anyway, I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Blue Sky at Plex-Dave, and depending on your zip code, you might be able to even find me on Grindr.
And with you, as always, it's the Councilman. You can find me on Blue Sky at PJ Allen 2. That's the number 2, and all the Blue Sky stuff. You can also find me partying up in the East Wing, yo. I love a good demo party. I don't know if you've checked out the news side of Washington, but the White House is experiencing its first demolition since 1812. So good on the president. I like a good renovation.
That's great. He's gonna cover the room in fucking gold.
Right. We call it a gut and amend in the biz. So we'll see what happens there. And lately, you can just find me just getting super spicy in all the right places because I'm just getting a little sick and tired of Mayor Ed 209 and his local shenanigans. But, we're here to talk about other things tonight. We're going to do a little breakdown of your ballot, particularly if you live in the South Bay region of the Bay Area of California of the United States, where we've got actually more than one thing on your ballot in the November 4th special election. So it's a little bit of down ballot box bingo. Hope you're getting excited for it. And it's our last show before Halloween, so hopefully it's not too scary.
Oh, that's right. And just real quick, Halloween night is a Friday. Assuming the media wench doesn't have her girls and isn't expected to go out and do trick-or-treating, although she doesn't live anywhere where you can really go trick-or-treating. There's like 5 houses near her. We'll probably be doing a spooky cast, and we'll probably have Justin freaking on for that. And I already found a bunch of cool old Halloween stuff from ranging from Nick at Night to fucking old Elvira specials and stuff. So I've been already looking at that. So Halloween's going to be a lot of fun around here. I'm not worried about trick-or-treaters coming to my door because there's more than one layer of security on my building, and I don't think a goblin can get to my apartment door. So
we've got kind of the reverse here. We definitely get out and do a little trick-or-treating with the bad baby. She's already got her costume picked out. But we actually have a neighborhood where people like commute to trick or treat. Like our neighborhood is known. They shut down the street. People are out like giving out not just like candy, but like corn on the cob and like full on pizza. So it becomes a little mini festival on our street. So we can't avoid it. We turn the lights off, like all the lights before the bad baby, of course, and try and hide in the back and watch movies all night. And the kids just keep coming no matter what. So we got to have some candy around just to appease them. Or otherwise they'll break down the door and try and steal all our shit.
Right.
So
they used to be trick or treat because they would do something bad to you if you didn't have some candy for them.
Right. And these kids will, like, they are completely unsupervised. Like, we get parents dropping off their kids and they come in like packs of 20, right? We'll open the door and I'm like, where are your parents? Are they waiting down by the street? No, they're not there. Like, they drop these kids off and they're just trusting that the mob mentality is going to take over and no one's going to mess with their kids. But I don't know, man. One of these nights, a bad baby really needs some elder influence. So we're thinking of kidnapping like an elder child, kind of like in Raising Arizona, because she needs an older sibling to keep her in line. So maybe one of these nights we'll just steal one of their kids. Maybe they won't notice. People are having all sorts of kids. So, or maybe someone's just like hoping for someone to take their kid. Maybe that's what it is.
One year when I was in Campbell, we made Jell-O shots for the adults. And boy, howdy, did some of the adults appreciate that.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, I definitely do not appreciate having to eat all the candy that the bad baby does not want, because we tend to have the same taste. So she eats all the good shit, and I'm left with like the runts, and like not like the variety runts, like just the banana runts.
Oh, banana candy is so gross.
Oh, it's the worst.
You get a yellow candy. If it's just like a yellow ball, you're like, man, I hope this is fucking pineapple.
Seriously, like I'll get the saltwater taffy, right? And it's kind of like yellow and white. And I'm thinking, oh, it's like buttered popcorn flavor, right? Okay, this will be good. And it's banana every time. The worst.
Oh, anyway, man, the only one that's ever always good is green, because you're getting lime or green apple, and you're just a happy motherfucker with the lime or the green apple.
Something tart. I need something tart. If I'm going to have a fruity candy, it's got to be tart. So I love my Nerds. I do love my runts, except for the banana ones. I love Skittles, Starburst. You just give it to me. I want it. And there are no banana Starburst. That's the one good thing about Starburst. Even the like tropical. Yeah, even the tropical version, like there's no banana in that shit. So passion fruit or mango or whatever, like, oh man, you know what? I don't have a mango Starburst, but that would be the jam. Let's talk to the Starburst people. Get on it. Mango Starburst. Anyway, maybe we'll have a ballot measure about that someday.
Now it's old men yell at candy.
We have a lovely front yard that has plenty of space for sitting around. So I've been thinking of eventually getting a little literally a white picket fence built, and the bad baby and I'll just sit out there and just bitch about the world. Just like, Everyone walking by like, oh, look at you with your shoes and your stroller and your jogging shorts. Get off my lawn. We don't have a lawn, but it'd be great to say, get off my lawn.
Anyway, we're doing everybody's ballot box bingo this week, and this is for California. So if you don't live in California, it's still good to be informed about California, because 1 in 10 Americans is a Californian. So.
It's very true. If only our federal government reflected that somehow. We only get 2 senators like anyone else. So if anyone asks you what's the problem with federal government, it's the Senate. It's the fact that the Senate is no longer representative of the people, but Congress still is to some extent, as long as the districts are drawn appropriately and fairly. And I like the segue. That leads us right into the one measure that everyone in California is going to be voting on if you vote in this election, if you even know there's an election coming up, and that's Prop 50. And at Downballot, producer Dave and I certainly have our own opinions, but we love to present objective fact as much as possible. So we're going to let our good friends at Cal Matters explain Prop 50, which is the only ballot measure that everyone's voting on here, in about a minute. They say a minute, it's really 2 minutes. And on the other side, we'll talk about it. And then we have a few ads from both sides, and we'll see who's supporting both sides. And producer David and I will chop it up on how we feel about it. But we're going to let you hear the objective information first. So here you go. Cal Matters.
In 2010, Californians passed a ballot measure mandating independent, nonpartisan redistricting for congressional districts. It was meant to cultivate fair, competitive elections and prevent gerrymandering. But now Democrats want to temporarily redraw California's congressional maps. Their reason? The Republican-led gerrymander in Texas, backed by President Donald Trump. Hi, I'm Jeannie Kwong, a reporter for Cal Matters, and this is Prop 50 in a minute. In a November 4th special election, Governor Gavin Newsom is asking California voters to consider Prop 50, which would require new Democrat-drawn district maps to be used in California's congressional elections through 2030. Right now, Democrats hold 43 of California's 52 congressional seats. But the new maps would transform 5 Republican-controlled seats into districts that heavily favor Democrats. If voters oust those incumbents, Newsom would effectively cancel out Trump's effort in Texas. The maps would also strengthen Democrats' hold on 3 other competitive California districts, making it harder for the GOP to flip them next year. A yes vote would keep the state's Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission, which would return to enacting congressional district maps after the 2030 census and every 10 years after. Opponents have called the measure unconstitutional and argue that 2 gerrymanders don't make a right, while supporters say it's necessary to combat partisan redistricting in Texas. So vote yes if you want to let Democrats use new maps in California's congressional elections through 2030. Vote no if you want to keep things the way they are. To learn more about this special election ballot measure, visit calmatters.org.
Yeah, that's a pretty good rundown. You're right, though. It was more than a minute. I hate when they lie to you like that. Actually, that's a harmless lie, but.
Yeah, true. I mean, and to be fair, the lead-in was probably 30 seconds. So, by the time she got to the actual meat of the run-through, it was probably a little more than a minute left. So yeah, that lays it down pretty well. I mean, they talk a lot about, this is independent, this is nonpartisan, this is really not a partisan issue. We hear a lot with propositions sometimes from both sides. This is absolutely a partisan issue. This is really whether or not you think that California should fight fire with fire and respond to what Texas is doing and what other states like Florida have proposed to do in terms of rigging their election to provide more seats to Republicans in the Congress by providing more seats to Democrats, which frankly is, California is set up for that. It's not our right, but California is predominantly a Democratic or a blue-leaning state. The Democrats have a supermajority in both houses of the state legislature and a very overwhelming majority of the vote in total. The catch is that, like in most parts of the country, Democrats are highly concentrated, or shall I say, progressives and blue-leaning voters, because a lot of independents are the fastest-growing party, but they tend to skew Democratic in California. it's predominantly a blue state, but they mostly live in urban areas like the Bay Area, like the coastal cities. And so a vast swath of, the land mass is governed and run by and dominated by Republicans. So we're consolidated in a way. And so in a way, our power is diminished by what you might call more independent or just baseline kind of a districting process. So this is pretty much a response to a lot of folks saying that Democrats need to do more to push back on Trump and to stick it to Trump. We'll see that in a minute. However, there are a lot of folks out there, especially on the right, who are saying that, well, we need to stick to our guns and stick to the Independent Redistricting Commission, even though they may not have been in favor of the Independent Redistricting Commission to begin with, but it benefits them to talk it up here. It is a question about the slippery slope and what kind of precedent this sets. It is limited to at least, as producer Dave pointed out, it's not limited to just this election. It would be limited until the next census. So we'd be really looking at 2031 and then the 2032 elections before we would return to the Independent Redistricting Commission setting the districts. So this has the potential
I think
to
Gavin
impact.
likes that because I think that means if he wins and if he were to win the presidency in 2028, that California would have these districts skewed toward him. But also,
Sure.
I guess maybe that they're doing this because maybe I don't know enough about the Texas law. But what if maybe the Texas law doesn't change back or at all, or doesn't change back until 2030? Who knows?
Yeah, the potential is in those states, like they're going to continue. The assumption would be that they would continue to try and do the same thing if they continue to be Republican led, and no matter what's happening in Texas in terms of registration and Beto O'Rourke and different movements. There has not been any proof that Texas or Florida or any of your large, I guess those are the two biggest Republican states at this point, are going to be reverting or flipping anytime soon into purple states. So yes, it's very likely that those states would continue on their own path. And some of those states, many states do not have independent redistricting commissions. They do still have their partisan legislatures deciding how these district lines are drawn. I will also point out that redistricting commission does not, it does have purview over a state legislature, like the legislature that's actually putting this into on the ballot. They do govern those districts, and that won't change. Those districts are not changing. Your state legislature districts will not change. This is strictly about Congress. This is strictly about putting a check on power in the Trump White House and all the Republicans that are pretty much bending the knee. So it's something where, personally, I applaud and I appreciate and I respect and I want to support the Citizens Independent Redistricting Commission because it is the most fair and balanced way to go about this. It should not be determined by politicians. That being said, I also appreciate the argument that the future of our country very much is hanging in the balance of the next few years. So I'll personally be supporting this measure, despite the fact that I have serious reservations about the precedent that it sets. And who knows what happens in the future and what could come next. But I do worry about that innately. But that being said, we're going to have some ads here we're going to show from various folks supporting and opposing the measure. But producer Dave, I would love to hear any thoughts you have beyond. Obviously, this is something that should benefit Gavin, but he could also argue that the Texas plan could hurt him if he were to become president as well. So, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, when I went to register, they couldn't verify my address, so I'll be casting a provisional ballot anyway. So,
oh man, is it because of all the security at the door?
I don't know. Whatever, it'll be ironed out by the next election. I figure when I finally get off my lazy ass and go to the DMV and get my ID changed over to here, it'll probably fix itself. I just figure I'll go cast a provisional ballot show up with a fucking copy of my lease.
There you go. Well, that is actually a good point. We should remind folks. So Monday, technically the 20th of October, was technically the last day to register to vote in California in this special election, meaning that it's the last day to get confirmed and get a ballot mailed to you and be a legitimate voter. You can still go to any vote center up until election day, register on site, and get a provisional ballot. Once they check your registration, verify your address. Your ballot will be counted. If the only reason it wouldn't be counted is if they cannot verify that, you'll get a notification of that. You'll be able to correct anything that needs to be corrected. So California is one of the states that makes it as easy as possible and more convenient as possible to vote. Everyone who's registered gets a ballot in the mail. You don't have to put on postage to return it. You just mark it up, leave it out for your postal worker. They will take it back. You can check to make sure online that it's been cast, and you can vote. You can register to vote on site all the way up until election day. So there's really no excuse anymore other than just lack of awareness or lack of caring or apathy for not voting. And I understand both, frankly, because we vote a lot. We're asked to vote a lot. We're asked to get engaged a lot. And I think people are just, frankly, they get tired and they've got shit to do. And for example, today, we were talking, you and I were chatting earlier about, hey, can we get some stuff dialed in for the show? And I'm like, man, I got Bad Baby's music rehearsal, right? I've got my boss breathing down my neck to get a couple emails out for work, right? Like everyone's got stuff to do, right? I got to go buy bananas for the good wife because she's craving bananas. Folks have a lot to do, and it's really hard to break through that sometimes. But voting to me has always been one of those sacrosanct sacraments of being an American and the covenant we have. So I really encourage everyone to vote and get registered. It's very easy now in California. You can go online and do it. You can go to the DMV. If you're 16 or older, you can pre-register. I do feel like everyone should just be registered automatically when they're 18, but that day has yet to come. But we make it as easy as possible without doing that here in California. So I would appreciate everyone getting out and voting, because turnout's going to be low. Your vote will count a lot more.
You can, and if you do it early enough, like I said, I had some problems with it because they couldn't verify my address, but you can even register online. Like if you've lived in the same place for a while, registering online is easy as fuck because they have every fucking
correct.
The state can, in fact, they will verify that you live where you live.
Right. It's called the motor voter law, basically. Like you can get it done when you're renewing your license. You can get it to just go to what is it? sos.ca.gov, sos.ca.gov, and register to vote right now if you wanted to, or if you wanted to change your party registration, or if you wanted to change your address or anything about your registration, you can go there and do it. It'll get done, and in this case, you'll still be able to cast a provisional ballot, and more likely it will get counted. And frankly, when it comes to the local elections, we found on this show, right, with coin flips and other things and ties and recounts, your vote counts. Every single vote does count, and they will count your ballot, especially the provisional ballots, if it comes down to that. So you never know what's going to happen, and some margins are razor thin. So maybe not at the state level, but certainly at the local level, I highly encourage everyone to get involved in and keep watching, keep listening to the 69th Best podcast in California, because we're always going to keep you informed about when these things are happening, what's on the ballot, and how you can get involved. So public service announcement done. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
So what I'm going to do here, actually, I think we'll watch these, the Barack Obama and then the Arnold Schwarzenegger. We'll just kind of watch them back to back.
There we go. That's a good.
We'll talk about them afterward. I will have to switch back to our beautiful faces while I switch the video, but this is just the limitations of the high production quality.
I am wearing a hat this week, so chat. I heard you loud and clear. Cover that bald spot. Get a hat on. So
here's Barack
Obama.
And
for anyone looking, my shirt says, "I'm a Democrat, but my wiener loves Bush."
Oh my
God! It was a great shirt that the good wife got me not too long ago. Back when George W. Bush was the funny guy. Sorry.
California, the whole nation is counting on you. Democracy is on the ballot November 4th. Republicans want to steal enough seats in Congress to rig the next election and wield unchecked power for 2 more years. With Prop 50, you can stop Republicans in their tracks. Prop 50 puts our elections back on a level playing field, preserves independent redistricting over the long term, and lets the people decide. Return your ballot today. Vote yes on 50.
And that was Barack Obama. Next, we have the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He says no on 50.
The politicians want their power back.
That's what they want to do, is take us backwards. This is why it is important for you to vote no on Proposition 50.
California voters established an independent commission led by citizens to stop rigged elections. Prop 50 cancels this historic reform, putting the politicians back in charge.
The Constitution does not start with the politicians, it starts with we the people.
Trust citizens, not politicians. No on 50.
Democracy. We got to protect it and we got to go and fight for it.
So
there you go.
So it's this is amazing. Kind of the first time that Obama has come out for anything, essentially, since he was, termed out of being the president. So, I mean, I know he campaigned for Hillary and a little bit for Kamala, but this is the first time we're like seeing him in any like state, local, or even like a Senate race or anything, like kind of coming out and supporting something. Barack Obama, I don't know, he was probably the best orator president of my lifetime, but we got problems with him and stuff, drones, deportations and whatnot, but he was very popular, and it's good, I guess, like for the Democratic Party, it's probably good that he's coming back and talking to people, because his voice has been largely absent from like important races, and if I remember correctly, even in the presidential races, he wasn't out there doing that much. And so
not till later on, especially. It's really telling that he's willing to step up here. You're right. He's been very protective of his brand ever since he left office. He's been reluctant to get involved in more local, state, issues. Somewhat, involved at the federal level. He definitely came out strong for Hillary down the stretch. He came out strong for Kamala. He really has not weighed in these spaces, so it is very telling that he is stepping up in this space. He is my former boss, so I am kind of biased, and was the one who got me into doing this. I probably wouldn't be even on this network or on this show or have run for office in the first place. Maybe that would have been a better thing. Who knows, for all of us. But I wouldn't even be here without Barack Obama's work. So it's telling to me, it's telling to me that he's willing to step up and put his brand on the line for this. I will say that it looks like it is passing at this point according to tracking polls, but anything can happen. But it's not only Barack Obama who's coming out nationally for this, but at this level for this measure. But as you saw, Arnold Schwarzenegger weighing in. I will point out that the No on 50 campaign was basically using footage of him from a panel he was on. He did not intentionally come out to do an ad.
Right, he's not
No on 50.
And there's been no official statement from his, I don't know, organization, people, whatever. Right. Whatever his, even just himself, really, except that the panel when asked about it, which is different than coming out and doing a commercial.
Yeah, and in a way, he's standing up for precedent, right? So he was the governor when the Independent Redistricting Commission was established, and he was supportive of it then. So he's just being consistent. So I respect the governor for that. And like I said, I have some qualms about backtracking and going back to the partisan process as well. So I completely sympathize with his argument, and I respect him for being consistent, because if anything, that's what we need from our leaders these days is consistency. There's so much flip-flopping going on all the time, and people are out there. The receipts are out there. If you really want to find them, right? We found them ourselves, of people saying one thing and then saying another thing 2 minutes later because it benefits them politically. At the very least, he's being consistent. So I can give the governor that. And God, I love his movies so much. Predator is just a gem of a film, by the way, if you haven't seen it. But Barack Obama, Arnold Schwarzenegger are not the only national figures who are stepping into the fray. We've got our good friend and hopefully perhaps former or future president, who knows? AOC has stepped in, and she's appealing to the Latino vote in California, which is historically not very active, but still very large population. So we'll see what she has to say. In Espanol, sorry for everyone who's monolingual.
Este noviembre, la lucha te pertenece a ti, California. Donald Trump quiere crear un Congreso que solo le responde a él, no a la gente. Y si se sale con la suya, perdemos todo. Nuestro cuidado de la salud, nuestros sueldos y el bienestar de nuestras comunidades. Con la Proposición 50 podemos detenerlo. La 50 devuelve el poder a la gente. Vote sí a la Proposición 50.
This is smart. This is fucking smart. She is
Yes.
popular, and even people who aren't familiar with her, I mean, she is a beautiful woman. Like,
Yep.
like this is smart for the 50 campaign. Like,
Correct. Yeah, everything about what you said, I think it's good for. I think it's also good for her, honestly, to improve her branding and expand her branding nationwide. If she does, I really do hope she does decide to throw her hat in the ring. I don't know if she'll make it through the primary, be successful, but I think she is exactly the kind of candidate that this party, that this country needs right now, and could be the perfect antidote to 4 more years of Trump. But it benefits her, it benefits this measure, and really, I think it benefits the Latino community, because they do need more voices that speak to them, that speak their language literally and figuratively, to empower them. Because it's not going to be gringos like me going out into the community, to la gente, as she says, and mobilizing them to vote. It really is going to be communities and neighbors talking to neighbors. That's how most communities
or
vote.
high-profile Spanish-speaking politicians more broadly, or high-profile anybody who speaks Spanish, maybe as their first language. And because native speakers can hear that shit when you're trying. Just like when you know, when somebody's trying with your native language, English, you can totally hear it. She ain't trying.
Oh, sure.
She ain't trying. She is fluent plus 5%.
Yeah, she's Alex from the Bronx, man. She knows it. She did grow up speaking the language in house. So, and you can see right through it. I'm also impressed that she spoke it directly in this ad. It wasn't dubbed. It wasn't performative. This is really who she is. So it's authentic to who she is, and I think it really benefits her and the measure in the long run. Another element in California, if you all might recall Tom Steyer. He's a former gubernatorial candidate, former venture capitalist, and definitely Trump antagonist. He was
Didn't he run for president too?
He did. He ran for president in the
Bernie
primary.
Have a little bit of a bromance which was a little bit weird.
A little bit, yeah. They're both in that staunch, left of left progressive movement, socialist movement. Tom comes from a business background, and he was also very big in the need to impeach movement during the first Trump administration. He was one of the ones really throwing a lot of money at it too, because he has a lot of money to spend. And so he's spending some money in this race. And I have to say that especially the Good Wife and I agree that the ads from his group, we're going to see one here, have been the best at really just laying the framework for what this is about, right? At the end of the day, you can mince words and talk about elections and rigging and gerrymandering and all this crap, right? And what it actually does. But so many times with our elections and our ballot measures, what the measure actually does and the nitty gritty of it is really irrelevant to voters. They just want to know what's the bottom line. And the bottom line is what you're going to see in this ad from Tom Steyer's group right here.
Okay, hold on. I'm getting something here. Breaking news out of California tonight. The results are in, and voters have just passed Prop 50.
What?
This is a major blow to Donald Trump and his chances of holding on to power next year.
Stop the...
That's great, because it looks like he's like, honey, the clicker isn't working. The clicker isn't working. and then Melania comes in, and he's like, no, I meant Ivanka.
And a little picture of him and Epstein just thrown in there too. I love that.
Because if he loses the House, Congress will have the power to block Trump, investigate him for corruption, and even release the Epstein files.
You want to stick it to Trump? Vote yes on Prop 50.
I mean, that's stupid, but whatever.
Can you run the last couple 5 seconds of that? Just the voiceover is the best part at the end. If you're a Californian, it just makes you smile.
Even release the Epstein files.
You want to stick it to Trump? Vote yes on Prop 50. I hate California.
It's great. They got the best voice impersonator, the French fries, the Epstein photos, everything about the clicker, everything about that just sings. There's a new ad with Tom Steyer himself, like saying all this to the camera. There's nothing more effective than what you just saw. I think that just lays it all out. If you are most Democrats can't stand this fucker. That's why this thing is passing. That's why they're not afraid to run the yes on like ads like that or on like football during football games, right? Because they understand that Democrats dominate the voter base here, so they're not afraid to run that and piss off any Republicans, because any Republicans that are willing to bend the knee to Trump already are going to do that anyway. They're going to vote that way anyway, and this is not going to make them any more emboldened to vote. It will embolden Democrats and make them laugh, make them feel the vibe, and hopefully make them get out and support the measure. But I just love it. Like, Tom Steyer does not give a fuck. I wish I had that kind of money where I didn't have to give a fuck. And the good wife and I often talk about, if we won the lottery, what will we do? I mean, we would pay for our child to have a life free of worry, education, house, all that thing. We would make sure our parents are taken care of and our siblings are taken care of. But the next thing we would do is start a PAC.
Even I, as your other child, might be taken care of if you guys won that kind of money.
100%, bro. 100%, man. We would not just you want a studio, you want a new studio, you got it, man. No problem. But we would also create an endowment and make sure that our money is providing dividends over time. And then we'd start a PAC. We would absolutely start a PAC to be able to do ads just like that about the things that we care about.
Ooh, I could even work with the PAC. That'd be great.
Oh yeah,
we could be corrupt as fuck. It would be fantastic.
It would be lovely. You would be our lead consultant. Frankly, you've got great political instincts. I've always said so. If we want to get people elected at the local level, that's what we do: is just drop a bunch of money on it, and that would make it happen. But anyway, dreams are dreams. We both work in the nonprofit sector, so it's not like that's going to happen anytime soon, unless we do win the lottery. But we'll let you know. We'll keep playing that Powerball.
So this next clip, by the way, it looks like there should be a timestamp on it, and there isn't, because the clip is 45 minutes long.
It is longer form, but I want to say I think I pulled this because it has a little intro that we can use to lead in.
Oh,
but
gotcha.
Why don't we just play
Okay.
it and let's play it and see what happens.
Oh, it's a Zoom call.
Yeah. I remember. That's why I wanted to play. So this is a Zoom not candidate forum, but a ballot measure forum
this morning, and appreciate you all for joining. I see a bunch of you coming in now. It's great.
Unmute yourselves.
Hard to believe that we are less than 3 weeks from Election Day.
So just real quick, when you do a live stream like this, if you're like a political organization, hire someone like me to facilitate the live stream, because this looks like shit.
Yes, we could absolutely do a show about how good this show sounds and looks now. But yeah,
it looks okay. That's not my strong point. But yeah, like this looks like shit. Like the way this started is shitty. There's no like. It's like, okay, is everybody here? It's like a group call with your grandparents.
Correct.
Feels like we've been doing this both for 5 minutes and forever.
Oh, that's a great way to open your fucking. That's great, fantastic, Archie. That's the opposite. Oh, it's great to see everybody. She's like, I feel like I've been here for a year. Good job.
I've been in this Zoom for a year waiting for you to join.
So we'll just give it one more minute.
We'll just give it one more minute. I think this is exactly why I wanted to include this. I wanted to hear your commentary about it. We could do a little MST3K on it.
And like, friends, don't like this. People think, this is advanced technology. I'm going to blur out the background. No, it looks terrible. Fucking turn your desk around and fucking just sit against the wall. My God.
Or if you're going to have a lead in like this, a slide, like some sort of like, just graphic, like, hey, we're about to start, but instead of this poor woman's face, with the blurred background,
we have a
graphic,
soundboard
like
we have a soundboard clip of what this lady's thinking. She's like,
oh my God, this feels like forever.
Yeah, like a nice image with a QR code to scan, right? Like to find more information, or no on 50, some sort of branding. This is just like, even with her on the screen, like some sort of no on 50 backdrop would be better branding than this madness. Oh, this kills. God, it's painful.
And this is like an official, if you see this, look, this is like I believe it doesn't have a check mark or whatever, but this is like some sort of official like campaign thing for No on 50.
Correct. No, this is Charles Munger's like No on 50 campaign YouTube, basically.
My God, what I mean, okay, whatever. We'll run a few more minutes. I love this. What's that, Schadenfreude?
All right. Well, with that, I think we can get started. I think we have critical mass, and I am.
So this whole part should be being done back of house while there's like graphics up and information and like lists of people that are opposed to like, come on, this is fucking amateur hour here.
Right. Editorials, but yeah, it's just madness.
Pathologically punctual, so I think we'll get on time. Great to see you all. Good morning. Welcome to the last in our series of Zoom press conferences going through our gerrymandering report. I have just a really great group of people here today who I will let do the bulk of the talking, but you all know Fabian Valdez, who's a demographer and really expert on the maps in California and the redistricting process. And I'm really pleased to introduce Patricia Sine and Neil Fornishari, who are a Democrat and Republican here in their personal capacity, but who serve on California's Citizen Redistricting Commission. So have been very steeped in this process of redistricting and have given hours and hours and hours of their time.
Okay, we've seen enough. I have some thoughts, as you might imagine. Sure. I do as somebody who presents video.
Let us hear.
For something like this looks kind of casual and like it's not really meant for the public. What you would do with something like this, if you were good at this, you do this meeting and you record everything, but don't broadcast it. And then edit out the parts that you think are like useful to the voters and then put those up like 2 and 3 minute segments on your YouTube channel, because then those are bite-sized, clippable. You could put them out on Blue Sky and X and Facebook. You could. It still has that like I'm in this video call feel, but it doesn't have this I have been waiting for 6 years for this video call to start feel.
Right. No, very much so. I I had the exact same vibe as you on that one, and frankly, it says a lot about the organization on the no side and versus the organization on the yes side. Like I said, as of now, Prop 50 is looking like it's going to pass. It's a 50+1 vote.
Well, I don't know. That video is going to change everybody's mind.
It could absolutely. It actually reminds me.
Only I pity these people, so I'm going to vote for them.
Completely. I used to run programs for a local Democratic club here in the South Bay that will be nameless. But we would often get suggestions, or I would often get suggestions of, oh, this person or that person would make a great speaker at your monthly luncheon. We had a guest speaker at our monthly luncheon, and I distinctly recall one lovely gal who was on our board for a while, and then later just a member of the club, who would consistently email me and the club president and say, I have someone who would be a wonderful speaker. Here's an hour-long presentation they gave on Zoom, and I want you to watch this and then call her up and get her to come speak. And I'm like I have an hour, right? Like, give me the Cliff Notes, right? If this person, if I need to watch an hour of this person presenting to know that they're a good presenter,
then why the fuck do I want to sit through an hour of them presenting at our club afterward? Because it's going to be the same presentation.
Right. We could just send the video out, right? Like, why do I care, right? We should know within a couple minutes of watching someone whether or not they're going to be a dynamic speaker. And we also let them know that half of their presentation should be reserved for, Q&A and like interaction and talking, not like just blathering on. So yeah, this reminded me of that instantly. I'm like, why in the world can't you break this down? As a communications person, you're exactly right. Like, record the whole thing and then break it down and push it out in digestible nuggets. Like, especially, there's probably some things that get said during that press conference that are pretty valid, right? Like, they've got members of the commission itself who are on there who are probably going to say things like, well, you basically taken all of our time and pooped on it by doing this, right? Or you're overturning the will of the voters, and you're not respecting the process. There's plenty of things they probably said that could be broken down into a nice 30-second, 1-minute ad even. But yeah, this is not necessarily the way you want to push that out. And then I also found a few clips where on the No on 50 page where they were taking local or other news reports about the measure, and they would they'd take a 2 or 3 minute news clip and they'd break it down. They'd cut it down to like the counterpoint. They'd cut it down like 30 seconds where it almost sounds like the news might be supporting their measure, even though it's trying to be fair and balanced and whatnot. But they just cut out the parts that are favorable to them, and they trim away the fat that's not favorable to them. So they know what they're doing. Someone knows what they're doing, but not everyone, obviously.
And another way to do it is to, like, what I would do with that, actually. I would put out the clips, and then I would have the full meeting. I'd have it unlisted, right, and have a link to it in the description. Be like, if you'd like to see this full meeting, here's a link to it. But it doesn't show up like, as in some cases possibly as the fucking first thing that you see when you go search for No on 50, because it doesn't show up in the search. But if people saw clips of the meeting and wanted to see more of that, they would be able to via a link in the description. There's all kinds of ways you can make that available to people without that being what they see as the No on 50 campaign.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. By the way, when I went searching for clips for these issues we're going to be talking about tonight, I try to keep it real. I try to keep it 100 and do it the way, like, just go to YouTube and plug in a search, No on 50, right? Just like any quote unquote average voter, right? Or just anyone out there in the chat, or anyone who doesn't do a political podcast, that's the 69th best podcast in California, would do it. So these are the things you would get when you search, like you plug into Google, I want to know about yes on 50, no on 50. This is what you would see. So be better, folks. You got to understand how people are getting their news and their information, and make it relatable, make it easy, and give it to them in a fashion that they're going to be able to digest it and understand it, and take it back to their friends and their family and to the ballot.
And there is a way you could do it live, but I would literally hire a fucking streamer to host.
Yeah.
A streamer who's sympathetic to, or even if they're not popular or whatever, just somebody who could facilitate and is used to like having guests and dealing with like a live stream environment. Yeah. Because they're going to kind of keep it rolling and like, but instead it's just like, it looks like I've been called to a Zoom meeting by fucking HR, and I feel sad. I feel like maybe I'm about to get fired or something. It's like, okay, man. all the appropriate management are here. Are you here, David? Are you here, David? We have some things to talk about.
I see David in the participants. Can we elevate him to panelist, please? Can we do that? No, we can't. Okay. We'll wait. Everyone will wait. And it's just so uncomfortable.
All right, so we're going to move on to Measure A, it looks like. And I feel like this thing, we're not going to watch all of it. It's a little long, but it's not an hour long. But this will be like a bit of a contrast, I think, just from what I saw, just from scrubbing through it a little bit, because I always do that before a video starts. Mostly because YouTube's mad at the Brave browser, and so I want to make it so that it's not spinning the wheel trying to figure out how to play the ad. But we're going to see like a pretty stark contrast in this here in the presentation that's being done for, I believe it's public access TV, where they have a producer, I'm presuming, and they're going to be talking about Measure A, and there's going to be, I assume, 2 opposing people speaking about it during this.
Correct. Yeah. Measure A, just as a quick brief, Measure A is a Santa Clara County measure. So you'll only be voting on this in Santa Clara County. It's pretty unique in the state. The Trump budget has cut a lot of support for local government, particularly in the healthcare space. And Santa Clara County is going to be experiencing $1 billion shortfall in federal funding because of it. So the Board of Supervisors has decided to put a measure on the ballot that will increase our local sales tax to not fill the entire gap, but to stop the gap and to help alleviate some of the pressure of that cut. So that's the bottom line of it. You're going to hear from a former county supervisor in favor of the measure, and then you're going to hear from the head of the local taxpayers association, who just doesn't like taxes, who's opposed to it. And we can listen to a little bit of both. I think the taxpayer guy starts about maybe a third of the way in. He has most of the time here because he just talks a lot more. Gotta love this. This is even better than the last video, just as far as an intro.
Hello, I'm Liz Niss, Palo Alto Mayor and former Santa Clara County Supervisor. While there are many important issues on the ballot in November, I'd like to urge those watching this to vote yes on Measure A, which was placed on the ballot by the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors. Measure A will ensure that critical county services continue without raising taxes. That's right, without raising taxes. Measure A funds go to some of the most important services provided in our county. Those include affordable health insurance for kids so that every single child is able to see a doctor or health professional for necessary health care. Critical services at Valley Medical Center, which is our county hospital. Nearly 1 in 4 county residents need services at Valley Medical Center from time to time. VMC is where trauma victims are taken. People severely burned go to the VMC burn unit. Emergency room needs, cancer treatment, and neonatal intensive care for children, just to name a few. Mental health services for both children and adults, as well as transit programs that service our elderly and disabled populations. Homeless services, housing programs, so we can help these folks get off the streets and into services or affordable housing. Law enforcement programs for the Sheriff's Department to target violent gangs, domestic violence, and illegal drug operations. Affordable health care and preschool also included. A yes vote on Measure A continues a 1/8 cent sales tax that generates $50 million annually for these many important services. And with the uncertainty of federal funds for anything in California, given the situation in Washington, D.C., it's so important that we continue this important funding source for so many critical county services.
So I think we can stop it there and move on to the next person here. But I wanted to mention, she said without raising taxes, but that's not true.
You know what? I'm just realizing this is my fault, listener, viewer. This is an old video. This is actually outdated. This is from a previous Measure A. County sales tax measure. And that being said, it still applies, frankly, here. So sorry about that.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on there.
That's what happens when you just do a random. But no, this is actually a good point. This is exactly what happens when you do a random search online, right, for information. You're going to end up finding stuff that may not be, factually accurate. And I was about to say, man, Liz, you should know better. This isn't new tax. So what it's doing is actually increasing our county sales tax by, I think, something like 0.67%. It basically is another 6 cents on every. Yeah, it's like 6 cents on every $10 you spend. It does not apply to food, groceries, healthcare, rent, childcare, basic necessities. So folks who are lower income are not going to be as impacted as you would normally think by a sales tax. It applies to, like, if you want to buy a new Tesla, that's going to get taxed. If you want to buy a new TV, that's going to get taxed. It'll generate around $300 million, $330 million a year. Nowhere near the $1 billion shortfall, but enough that we could keep emergency rooms at the county's public hospitals open, which helps alleviate the pressure on emergency rooms at Kaiser and other private hospitals. So all of us are going to get impacted by these cuts. And the cuts would also impact public safety in other areas of the county government, because the county would have to figure out ways to cut in other areas in order to make sure that people aren't dying. So the county maintains the only level 1 trauma unit in the county, by the way. The county government does that. And it's only because private sector abandoned some hospitals and abandoned their hospital system here that the county has to run the system in the first place. So you're hearing arguments in favor of the measure saying, we need to protect lives and save lives. The arguments against it are pretty much, we don't want to pay new taxes. And that's a pretty salient argument these days. And that's why Measure A is polling right on the cusp of passing. It's a 50-50 measure because the money does go to the general fund because of it. If they wanted it devoted strictly to healthcare, it would need a 2/3 majority to pass. But it's also why you're seeing the DA and the sheriff and the Board of Supervisors and pretty much every other, even Mayor Ed 209 has come on board to support it. The only folks really not supporting it at this point, as far as elected officials, are the ones that represent Almaden and Nagley Park and Saratoga and some of the more Tony affluent areas where people have plenty of money and they just don't like taxes. So it's on the cusp of passing, failing, but it really could mean. I don't say this willy-nilly, like it could really mean life or death for folks. So please learn more and definitely get a video that's more current than the one I put on the docket. But there are folks who are just concerned about what it's going to mean, and given that public comment is one of our favorite shows or programs on this network, I thought we'd show a little public comment from Campbell City Council, and you can see a very well attended public Campbell City Council meeting here.
Yeah,
So
this is why we don't watch Campbell ever.
Right. So local resident, very excited and very animated about this issue, and she's going to let us know why.
Hi, good evening. My name is Doris Chen. I'm from the Hazelwood neighborhood. I'm very concerned about Measure A. I receive a lot of pamphlets about the special election coming up on November 4th. It's another sales tax increase. And I was doing some research. I was actually quite surprised that Campbell is actually on top of all the counties in Santa Clara that has the highest sales tax at 9.875%. And a lot of the other cities like Cupertino, Gilroy, Los Altos, they have 9.125, which is a lot lower. But after Measure A, which is a proposed 0.625% increase, our sales tax in the city will become 10.5. And that's another measure coming up in 2027 about the transit for another 0.5% point of increase. If that gets passed, it will raise our tax to 11%, which is the highest in all the all the cities in the county. So I'm very concerned about just, regular citizens like me, stay-at-home mom, but I understand food is not taxable, but I do need to buy clothing, shoes, not fancy. I go to Walmart, Costco, to be honest, but I still have to pay tax on those items. If my fridge or stove breaks, I need to go replace my appliances. If my car breaks down, I need to buy a new car or a used car. I still need to pay sales tax on that. So that really hit hard to me. As just a regular family, it's very, very hard. On top of all that, we have property tax, gas tax, a lot of medical expenses. We buy our own health insurance and all that. So it's very hard for a regular citizen like me to survive. And I really want you to consider opposing Measure A, just to ask the county to bring down the budget. Thank you.
So she's right about Campbell, but the other thing is that's why people live in Campbell is because the city services from the city of Campbell are possibly also the best in Santa Clara County.
Very much so. I mean, the cops show up, the fire department shows up, the library is solid. Your downtown is clean. There's no poop on the sidewalks, and there's plenty of things to do. So yes, that's the reason why the taxes are higher in Campbell. Although I will point out that San Jose's sales tax, I think, is actually higher than Campbell. I want to say is higher than Campbell's. And in fact, I've gone to Campbell in the past to buy higher ticket items just because of the lower tax there. But it's what she's saying. In terms of sales taxes being regressive and hitting working people the hardest is generally true, and it's a perfectly valid argument. And I think this young lady is expressing a vibe and a position that is not unique, is not uncommon across the board in affluent communities, poor communities, just communities across cultures. Folks are, they're less and less trusting of government, right? They feel like they're getting taxed, and much like the revolutionaries back in the Tea Party day, the literal Boston Tea Party days, they do not feel like they're getting the representation and the services and the respect that they deserve for paying taxes into the system. And they don't feel the government is working for them. And in a lot of ways it isn't, depending on who you are. And there's a lot of distrust, as we cover on this show constantly with all the recalls we've seen, right? And the recall efforts and just the general mistrust we're seeing of government. It is not an uncommon feeling, and it is obvious in the polling on Measure A right now. That's why it is tenuously passing. It's passing right now, but barely. It's under the margin of error. Even while something like Prop 50, which, as we've noted, was a very partisan measure, right? And Democrats broadly and almost across the board are supporting it. Republicans are opposing it. In this case, you have a very large amount of Democrats and theoretically progressive people who are opposing this measure because they just don't feel that the county or any of us, any government agency, is justified in asking the people for more and should do more belt tightening. We could go into how much belt tightening has been done by the county. The county has a hiring freeze right now. They have a pay raise freeze. They are actively asking the state to step in and provide more funding. They've asked every department to trim as much fat as possible. But even the Mercury News has bought into the narrative that the taxes aren't the way, and this is a great time for government to learn to be more lean. And in fact, Mayor Ed 209 in San Jose was not supportive of this originally, and was, from all I've heard, offering sort of a quid pro quo of, well, the county has to step up with mental health services and drug addiction services and help us with sweeping the dirty homeless people out of our streets if I'm going to support it. And yet his squawk box, the Mercury News, is opposing it. So probably speaking with one tongue and pushing another agenda. So it's not an uncommon position. And unfortunately, when you have a special election like this with low voter turnout and low voter awareness, it really sometimes is the last person you hear from, right? Or the most trusted person you hear from, who's going to win the day with you. And when you have a county that has more than 1 million registered voters, it is very expensive and very time consuming to run an effective campaign that is trying to educate people about why they're like all this shit I just said. Like, it took me 5 minutes to explain why we're doing it, right? Like, people don't have that kind of time. You can't squeeze that into a 30-second ad. So my argument would be to the SNA people is embrace what the Prop 50 campaign is doing and what Tom Steyer is doing, and just say, look, this is about Trump. Trump is fucking us. Let's fuck Trump back, or let's fight back, right? Like, that's really what this is about. So get down to it. Don't, even the argument about, oh, people are going to die or the emergency rooms are going to get crowded. It's true. And any normal, rational person would understand that. But, voters, I'm not saying they're not rational. They're not responding to education these days. They want to know, bottom line, how is this going to affect their wallet? So I think it would be much more behooved of the SNA people to really focus in on who's responsible for this, why they're responsible, and really embrace that partisan mentality. I think they're trying to make it more nonpartisan and try, because it's a local issue. But at the end of the day, you really have to, if you want to win, you have to be a little more cynical. You have to be a little more direct with people. And that's one thing I've learned from running for office a couple of times unsuccessfully too, is you can try to nuance it and use the campaign to educate people, or you can win. That's pretty much the options you have. So win the day and then educate people later. That's my argument.
Not for nothing, there's a lot of rich people in Santa Clara County, and it's astonishing to me actually that we don't see a lot of luxury taxes levied by counties and cities, even by the state. Like, somebody buys a $50,000 car, you pay whatever taxes on it. You buy a $150,000 car, oh boy, howdy, are we taking 30 grand from your ass because you can afford that fucking $150,000 car. You can also afford to kick 30 grand to the county. Like, housing is expensive, but if you buy a $2.5 million house, we're going to assess a fee on your ass for buying that $2.5 million house. Even things like televisions. Okay, like a grand or $1,500 for a TV is like, okay, it's just a normal TV. If you want a TV that's going to last a long time, you maybe do that. You go out and buy a $5,000 TV because you want the best TV. Well, now that TV's $6,000, asshole. Like, like
one of those 80-inch motherfuckers, right? Yeah, that's like a whole wall TV.
There are other like high-end jewelry, even
Teslas.
Like, I don't know, even like expensive bottles of wine, that kind of shit that rich people do to impress each other. I feel like there's a lot of revenue that could be gathered there, and once you hit that echelon where you're buying what kind of car is $150,000? Like a Porsche 911,
Lamborghini or something. Yeah.
Well, Lamborghini's even more, but I know what you're saying. But at that level, if you're able to just spend that kind of money on a car, you've got an extra 30 grand actually, or whatever it would be. And it's just astonishing to me that more cities and counties and even states aren't assessing aren't assessing an extra tax on luxury goods, high ticket items. I don't know. I don't know if if you have that kind of wherewithal, though, you might just stick it to the county and go buy the car in Nevada or something.
And they do. That's the thing. It's amazing to me how much the attitude of he or she who dies with the most toys wins. Right? Everyone just wants more and more and more, and they it's almost like they get cheaper as they have more money. We'll give a quick shout out to Assembly member Alex Lee, who is a local. He represents part of Santa Clara County and also parts of the Southeast Bay. He's the youngest. I think he's still the youngest Assembly member. He has supported and been a big proponent of a wealth tax in California. Unfortunately, it hasn't gotten as much traction as you'd think, even with Democrats dominating the space, because surprise, surprise, they get lots of campaign donations from these rich fuckers too. They're the ones that are their pockets are lined by PG&E and all the special interests as well. Alex is one of the few who has stepped out and been unabashed in calling for a wealth tax, calling for socialized housing, for social housing, and unfortunately not able to build critical mass, because when the rubber meets the road, money wins in politics in a lot of ways. So kudos to him for stepping up for it. Maybe we'll see some traction on it. I completely agree with you that these things are like a rounding error when it comes down to it, right? Like the kind of money that could really be life changing and for a community is really like a rounding error in Tom Steyer or Jeff Bezos's bank account.
There's people who are buying a 4-bedroom house in Palo Alto for $5 million because they're choosing to, because they could live 6 miles away and that 4-bedroom house is $1.7 million, right? And that also like helps the people of Palo Alto, right? Because you do enough of that and people stop buying those $5 million houses. It brings down the cost of housing in Palo Alto. Now, I know the rich people in Palo Alto would be like, but my property value. And I'd be like, what do you give a now we're not assessed. Wait, now you can pay less property tax when you buy your second Palo Alto house. Like, what the fuck?
And property values are not going, over time, right? Like just like we talked about the crime rates going down over the long haul, property values are not going down over the long haul in the Bay Area. They're going to keep going up. There may be fluctuations, but the good wife and I make more money on the equity in our house than we do from our jobs, honestly, every year. So everyone who bitches and moans about, the homeless people are bringing my property values down, give me a break. Like it's not happening. This is the most expensive region in the country, and there's only a few people out there who make enough to be able to live in luxury, and it would not hurt them a lot to ask them to pay, or to force them, frankly, to pay more. And more than likely, they made those riches on the backs of all of the rest of us, and on the freedoms and the capitalist society we've created for ourselves has provided them with that largesse. So back to my point about the American covenant, they really do owe it back to the system to all the success they've had. So yeah, let's see more of that. I completely agree with you.
I think I would for the wealth tax, right? Don't do it every year. I would assess the wealth tax when you do the census. That'd be like you do it like when you I don't know. People would find ways to skirt that, but that's totally, it would be tax fraud if you try to hide your fucking wealth. Like,
yeah, completely.
And I even think like corporations should be paying wealth tax. Like if you have $1 trillion, if your market cap of your corporation, I know you don't have $1 trillion in assets or because the stock market is a fucking lie, but you should have to sell off some of that stock you just bought back to fucking pay some wealth tax on your big ass company too. Like,
sure.
And
there's some of these companies that don't pay any tax at all when it comes down to it. Like they take advantage of every loophole. Like I think
one year I had write-offs and stuff, and I had to pay what's known as the alternative minimum tax. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Because of just my personal write-offs and whatever. It just so happened that one year, because of the amount of money that I made, I had to pay the AMT. Mind you, that was a pretty good year, and I did not mind. I was not like alms for the poor that year. I was like, I will eat at Pino's every night. Thank you very much.
But there's that the old axiom. It's not even an axiom that Warren Buffett's secretary pays a higher tax rate or more taxes than Warren Buffett does. And Warren Buffett said that himself. Like he's a proponent of wealth taxes. But it's very true. Like you can take advantage of the rich can take advantage of so many loopholes that folks like me, who's an independent contractor and has to pay like 30% income tax to the IRS. I do not have that luxury, right? So it really makes no sense at all that so much money is just going out there sitting in someone's bank account in dividends and not going to actually serve the community and help the community. And actually, at the end, when it comes down to it, the more that the full community benefits, the more that this society we've created, this culture we've created, it gets to perpetuate itself. It's going to be more money for these people anyway, right? So in a way, it's kind of reciprocal.
They have a little less money, but they have a better quality of life. If they're tired of looking at the homeless, well, I don't know. We just took $7 million from you,
right?
And now there's fewer homeless people, I suppose.
Well, yeah, no one's who's gonna be able to live in the area and tune up their Tesla. Who's gonna be able to mow their lawn? Who's gonna be able to make their DoorDash burger, right? Like, or drive their DoorDash to their door, right? Like, it's there's so many things we depend on that rely on everyone being involved, and as we're forcing more and more people out of our society, I think we're going to start to. I hope that those folks will start to feel the burn, unless they just start enslaving people, which might happen. Who knows? We've already seen it on this show a couple times.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You know,
a lot of blue-haired people are going to be picking fucking strawberries pretty soon if things don't change and the government is able to declare them terrorists and fucking
yes,
yep.
Yes. And what happens when real climate crisis strikes and folks are you want to see real migration is when parts of this world become uninhabitable, right? And we're gonna have to confront this sooner or later. So I applaud Assemblymember Lee. I really hope that we can get more traction on something like that at least, and maybe like at the local level, maybe it's something we do look at a countywide level because. Again, one tenet of this show is that local government is the laboratory for policy change. So it might something like that might come from a city level, from a county level, before you see it at the state or national federal level. And in a lot of ways, Santa Clara County has been the bellwether and the leader in a lot in these kind of things. So maybe we will see some change here locally, and it will extrapolate.
And not just for Santa Clara County. I mean, from right in front of my apartment, I can see Montclair. I can see $10 million, $20 million gigantic fucking houses on the hill up in Montclair. And I fucking, I think that, on the other side of that hill is fucking the Berkeley Hills, and they ain't cheap to live there either. And San Ramon, Dublin, Pleasanton all have like a high property value. Fremont's property value is out of control. Like, these are all in Alameda County. I mean, yeah, again, a 4-bedroom house in Fremont is anywhere between 1.2 and 1.7 million dollars. I don't want to hit those people, but people up the hill a ways, when your house is worth fucking $8 million,
Yeah, if you're in Irvington, you can see Mission Peak, right? Like, you can see all those houses up there too. So it's there. The inequality it's right in front of our face, right? And it's confronting us every day if you just look around. So the hypocrisy is just hilarious to me, and the fact that, like I said, the richer you get, it seems like the more you want to hold on to your dollars, and the cheaper you get. Like, it's the Scrooge mentality. It absolutely is the Scrooge mentality.
It's crazy because when I first moved to San Jose, I lived in a real cheap apartment. Right, it was like super cheap because I'd just gotten back from a contract. Like, a bunch of bad stuff had happened. Anyway, I moved back to San Jose. I copped a little help from my parents, moved in with my sister. She was at San Jose State. And when we lived in the poor neighborhood, our neighbors were coming by all the time with like a plate of food and shit because we just moved in. But when I lived in Campbell, ain't nobody coming by with no plate of food for me in that fucking expensive ass apartment I had there, right? Like, it's just like, and it's just one example, but it is, like you're saying, the people who have the least are the most likely to share with you what they have, even if you don't ask for it. They're just like, have you tried this chicken?
Oddly enough, I just got a text from my neighbor who's going to drop some food by the house. She had a little extra food, and she thought we might like it, so she's going to drop some by the house. I have to let the good wife know. So
that's you over there in that fucking poor ass Willow Glen neighborhood.
I know. Well, no, we're Rose Garden adjacent is what we like to call ourselves now. So we're not quite. We're like the bastard. Our block is like the bastard child of the Rose Garden. Like, everyone else gets all the love, gets the street lights fixed, gets the the center lines painted on their street, gets the cops out to enforce things. We get the people doing burnouts and donuts and gunning it down the street. But we do have neighbors that will bring by food, leftovers from their Diwali feast, which is awesome. So thank you to them. Anyway, we're gonna have to move on from Measure A, but I can't urge you, if you live in Santa Clara County, enough to vote for Measure A. It really is going to be a life and death situation.
If you're there, even if you understand that this does hit the poor the most, it's like, it's not going to hit you at the grocery store, and it's not going to hit the poor people's rent. But I know poor people want to buy a TV too, right? I know that they got mad about that on Fox News, that, the poor, they got air conditioning and a TV. Like,
yeah, yeah. They've got that tent looks really fancy.
Also, if you need a TV, I don't know, go on to pretend you're in Los Gatos and go on to Facebook Marketplace in Los Gatos, and somebody's going to be getting rid of their 2-year-old TV because it's got like a little tiny scratch on the plastic, and you ain't paying no sales tax on that. And if you tell them, oh, I'm actually broke and I can't really afford the TV, they might just give it to you.
Right. Next door, I always get those notifications like your neighbors have free shit, and I'm like, man, in our neighborhood, the free shit's pretty nice. So I'm always checking those things out. I always look at that's the one next door post I always open up. I'm like, who's got some free dinner chairs? Who's got a free free TV?
When I moved, I just put on Facebook Marketplace. Like once everything was out, I was like, hey, hit me up. I'm moving. There's still a bunch of stuff in my apartment. And if you want to just come and look through the apartment, you can have whatever you want. Only a few people showed up, but people were like super happy to come take stuff. Some of the stuff that I didn't even think that nobody was going to take, right? Like
that
dishes
dirty bong
and fucking silverware and shit. I was like, all right, fucking whatever. I mean, this is like...
I recall you having all sorts of random bongs and pipes on the table too. So I would have come over and grabbed one of those more than likely.
Right. But anyway, we're going to move on to this county assessor bill. What does the county assessor do basically, like kind of broadly?
So the Santa Clara County will also voting on a replacement for our recently retired county assessor, Larry Stone, who retired after 29 years. He basically wanted to set the record for the longest tenure as county assessor, and then didn't want to wait around for the next election to step aside. He just resigned. So we're having an election.
I got the world record. Bye.
So we're having an election to replace him here. The county assessor basically sets the value, sets the assessed value of your house, or at least confirms the assessed value of your house, and then sets property tax rates based on that. It's not as glamorous as you think, and it's not as powerful as you might think. It's not like they can come and just suddenly say your house is worth or X amount more or X amount less, significant amount more or significant amount less in any given year. It has to be reasonable.
Within some kind of parameters, I'm assuming.
They do. There's standards. There's national, state standards around it, and you can absolutely appeal if you think you're getting screwed. In fact, the good wife and I appealed our assessed value recently. We won, but it wasn't like we won a huge amount. Like they recognized that it had gone up a little bit too much. So I think we pay like $5 less in property tax because of it. But we had to go through a huge appeal process to get there. And if I had an attorney, maybe it would have been better. But regardless, that's what they do. And so they just make sure that those tax dollars are being assessed properly. They're not the tax collector. That's a wholly different agency. And then there's another agency entirely that distributes the money. So the assessor just is there to make sure that there's a fair process for how property values are assessed. But it is an elected position in our county, and so you're gonna. The Red Shore voters pushed out a little reel encouraging anyone, because it's such a sexy position, right? People are just breaking down the door to run for this shit. They figured they put out a reel to encourage people to run. So we're gonna watch that first.
Big news for Santa Clara County voters. Assessor Larry Stone is retiring next month, creating the first open race in decades for the job of determining the taxable value of property and business assets in our county.
Are you interested in running for county assessor?
No.
Remember these dates. Signatures and loop period is between June 30th and July 9th, and nomination period is July 14th to August 8th.
The election will take place this November with a runoff in December if no candidate gets over 50% of the votes.
I love this. This is the. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you know what the salary is for this position? Maybe
it's pretty decent. It's in the hundreds. It's in the high six figures. Maybe not. Okay, maybe not high six figures, but hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So it's an executive level position, just like the DA.
I don't know why they didn't mention the salary. They say the outgoing person, they gave up a salary of this much. I mean, that's going to encourage people. You tell them in this video, if they see this video, they're like, it's $184,000 a year plus benefits that you don't even have to pay into, or whatever it is, right? You would mention
pretty
that,
much like that. Yeah, and you run an office of like hundreds, really. Like you're the head honcho, and you have assistants. You have an executive assistant who does all the shit for you. You have a deputy that pretty much does everything for you, and you're the elected official. So you just have to go out. I mean, honestly, the only times I usually see Larry Stone have been at like barbecues, and political events where he's just getting sloshed and talking shit about whatever he wants to talk about. And I don't know how much he actually did as far as work goes. You go into his office, it's all just like awards on the wall and signed autographed baseballs and pictures of him with Barack Obama.
Sorry to interrupt. Like if you've been there for a while, you know how to delegate, and all the delegation is probably pretty done. And probably like when you first get in there, it's probably mayhem, right? Because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. But something like that, you've got 100 people working under you assessing the value of properties. At some point, you get everything working correctly, and you got to go to work every day, but it's probably not that stressful anymore. And you probably work with great, smart people.
Yeah, including the guitarist from my band, my former band, Usurper Vong, is actually an employee in the assessor's office, and I know a guy who's an assessor who works for the office. So he's not going out and actually doing the assessing. He's just there to just ministerially, guide the office and policy, and then again, be a curmudgeon and weigh in on any sort of political issue that he feels like he can, because he's an elected official. So he loves being honorable. He loves going out and being recognized. Larry Stone even actually actively liked people to boo him, right? He would encourage it because it's just a fun gig for him. He loves politics so much. Larry Stone would actually joke that he would bankroll any candidate who ever wanted to run against him, and no one ever would, because he was it's a really tough office to break into. It, like we've just had to explain whatever. It took me 2 minutes to explain what the job is in itself, and I didn't really get it right. So no one's really ever going to run legitimately for the seat. No one's ever going to run against him. But now that there is an open seat, you are seeing a few folks who are stepping into the fray. One of them being basically his deputy right now, who he's endorsed, but also former mayor of Saratoga, and our good friend Rishi Kumar, who runs for everything under the sun down here. So we're gonna, if you're all good with it, we're gonna run a recent League of Women Voters candidate forum, but we only really need to hear their introductions. That'll tell you all you need to know about them. But I really love the lead in here. If you start where the timestamp was, because speaking to the point about the other video from No on 50, this is just a hilarious moment we catch with the organizers before they really get started on this. And you'll notice it's 7.5 minutes in, and they haven't even begun talking to the candidates yet.
If the candidates or anybody in the audience would like to use the recording, we ask that you use our recording only in its entirety. You may not just use a segment of the recording.
We're already breaking that rule. We're already fucking their shit up.
Talking right to us.
Yeah.
And so with that, I want to extend my warm welcome, and with their permission to use their first names. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what that was all about.
Why'd she just move it 6 inches? Like, that doesn't matter.
I don't know. Some old lady just like, you need to get a better visual. We can't hear you. We can't hear you in the back. Speak into the microphone.
Okay, we still have volume issues. So, okay. So with their permission, I'm going to use their first name. So I want to welcome Brian, Rishi, Nisa, and Yan tonight.
Holy audio. Oh my God.
Yes.
As I said, I'm going to start with the first question as it was randomly drawn. Thank you, Dave. And the first question was provided in advance. And so to Brian, why are you qualified to be our county assessor?
I believe that I heard that what made me qualify to be an assessor. I didn't hear the question well. Sorry.
Why are you qualified to be our county assessor?
First, my name is Brian Dill. I just want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. This is probably the largest and arguably the best audience that I had so far. You all are very engaging, and I thank you for doing that. I thank the organization for making tonight possible. I'm currently serving as board president of Eastside Union High School District. And I recently, because of this race, I received recently a contact from my own high school teachers. And she was very excited that I'm running, although she was very surprised that I'm running. She said, well, Brian, I remember you in high school as an introvert, as a nerd, a number guy, a quant, why are you running for office? But she's also apparently following me because she's complimenting me on the fact that I received a gold award from the Santa Clara County Association of California, Santa Clara County California Association Gold Award, which is a fancy way of saying their school board member of the year. And she's very excited. She won my lawn sign. But before I was a public servant, I was in the private sectors. I was a project manager and later on as a small business owner where I manage complex enterprise resource planning software and of course, leveraging data science to help the United States government to combat money laundering.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. It's a time question. So again, to read, why are you qualified to be our county?
Something's wrong with the audio. It's like a compressor is pumping or something. I can totally, I could fix it.
You can hear it. Yeah.
Property tax reform is sweeping the country, and I'm all for it. I'm Rishi Kumar, and I'm seeking a vote. I'm the only candidate in this race who supports a property tax exemption for seniors. No senior should ever risk losing their home because of rising taxes. Today, 16 states already provide this kind of relief to seniors. If they can do it, so can we. Visit rishikumar.com/seniors for details. I'm the only candidate in the race who has pledged to protect Prop 13. Politicians want to gut Prop 13, but your home is not their piggy bank. I'm the only proven tax fighter in this race. I've never supported a tax increase. I'm the only candidate opposing Measure A, the county's proposed sales tax hike. It's time to cut waste, not raise taxes. As a Saratoga Council member, I successfully fought San Jose Water Company rate hikes, dropped burglaries that got me reelected with the highest vote count in 70 years of my city. As a C-suite software executive and AI author, I bring expertise in finance operations, IT modernization to transform the assessor's office from day one. This election is about trust. I fight for your interest, not the special interest. Vote for Rishi Kumar. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And why are you qualified?
I'm Yan. I'm the only state licensed appraiser in this race with the most professional training and hands-on experience. I have worked in the appraisal field for over 1,000 hours and earned my appraiser's license from the Bureau of Real Estate Appraisers.
Wait, 1,000 hours isn't that much because supposed to be working 40 hours a week. That's not that much.
Also a trained computer engineer.
It's a side hustle.
Okay. Like a year's work is over 2,000 hours.
Yeah, she comes from tech and she was a council member, but yeah, it's a side hustle for her. You have to get a certain number of hours to get licensed.
From UC Berkeley and Santa Clara University. I have spent my entire career in the Silicon Valley high-tech industries. I know how to use technology to modernize the assessor's office, to upgrade their 40-plus-year-old system, and improve customer service. As a council member and two-term mayor, I have always put residents first, delivering result and improve public service. The combination of my technical expertise, appraisal experience, and 20-plus years of public service is what uniquely qualifies me to serve as the next assessor. And I'm determined to make sure this office works better for everyone by delivering accuracy, transparency, and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to ask you to hold your enthusiasm, please. Thank you.
It's overwhelming.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Good, thank you. And let me start off by thanking all of you for taking time out of your busy evening schedule to be with us this evening. And of course, thank you to the League for hosting this event. And I agree with Brian. This is the third forum that we're having, and this is the most members we have seen at these forums. So I just want to thank you for being here. Nisa Flagger running to be the next county assessor. And the question is, why am I qualified for the position? To be a California assessor, you're legally required to have a property tax certification. I am the only candidate with this certification and ready to lead the office on day one. This property tax certification is not a real estate license appraisal or a real estate license that a broker may have. It is very specific to the work we do in the office, not just residential appraisals, but commercial, business, personal property, boats, vessels. And the vast amount of work we do in the office, that's what this certification represents. And that's what makes me qualified to do the technical work and lead the office. In addition to that, I am the only candidate with actual experience working in the office. I was the attorney for the assessor years ago, providing legal advice and successfully defending appeals. I later joined the executive management team where I led the effort where we are modernizing technology, which you'll hear a lot about tonight. I've already started that successfully. And I'm currently the assistant assessor, number 2 in the office, managing the office. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, she's the only one with any actual experience, is what she's saying.
Pretty much. I mean, you can't even get the license. The funny thing about Nisa's argument, it's mind-boggling to me that she leads with that every time. But the license she refers to, you can only get from working in the assessor's office. So it's not necessarily a slight on the other candidates that they don't have that because they can't get it if they don't work in the office. So she's really leaning into the fact that she has the experience in the office. She knows what she's doing because she's been there. One could also argue that maybe she's part of whatever problems there might be. But I do hear that the employees really do like her and that they're mostly supporting her. So if you want the one person with the most experience actually doing the thing, exactly how it's being done now, you probably vote for Nisa. If you want, obviously Rishi Kumar, if you want someone who's going to cancel property taxes for seniors, which would throw an enormous wrench into funding mechanisms, not just for the county, but for local schools. So if you want kids to basically get their schools closed on them or not be able to eat at school or to have appropriate resources or teachers that, know what they're doing, you'd vote for Rishi Kumar. Brian Doe is run for a lot of things and is trying to be a lot of things to a lot of people, but means well. So if you want just someone who's average Joe, Jane, probably vote for him. And then if you want someone who's got a little tech background experience, has worked in the tech industry, knows the business side of taxes and of how property taxes are assessed, but also has done the work of being an elected official, being a mayor, and working in this space and doing a little side hustle in space, then you'd vote for Jan. We'll see how it turns out. I'm going to point out that the county itself is something in the neighborhood of 40% AAPI. So you would think that at least the 3 AAPI candidates would have kind of a leg up, but they may also be splitting that vote. And in that case, Nisa might pick up the rest. But we'll yet to be seen. We'll see what happens in this race. I'm not even so sure where I come down. Right now, Nisa and Jan are sort of the leading candidates. They're the most established. They are the ones with the most endorsements, the most money. And this is a race where, like I said, there's more than 1 million voters in Santa Clara County. And so running a race like this is incredibly difficult and challenging. Average, like if you want to send one mailer, like a mail brochure to every one of those voters, it's going to cost you about $1 per when it comes to the design, the fabrication, the postage, right, and the mail services to get that in everyone's hand. That's $1 million, and no one's raising $1 million in this race. So it's going to be very targeted around people like myself and the good wife who vote every single time. And so they're going to try and get us to vote, but the vast majority of people are going to have no idea what this race is about and who these people are because they're not going to be able to afford to get them information about who they are. So we'll see what comes out of this. All I know is that Larry Stone's not going to be there anymore, and that's a good or bad thing depending on how you feel about Larry Stone. But Larry's going to be having fun. At the end of the day, his wife actually wears the pants in the family, from what I understand. So he's been a figurehead for far too long. So at least we'll get some new leadership and some somewhat younger leadership in the office.
And for another thing, it's a very down ballot, the most down ballot. I think. But it's between this story and the tower in San Francisco. Those are the 2 most down ballot-y fucking like ongoing sagas.
Correct.
This one has taken it away from, what was that guy's name in Milpitas?
Rich Tran, Mayor Tran, who might be running again. I hear for mayor. We'll see. He might come back in the next. They have mayor elections every 2 years in Milpitas, so he might come back next year. But so California Forever. Avid listeners, watchers, viewers of this program will remember is the effort by the Peter Thiel elite to build a city in the middle of Solano County for their Norman Rockwell vision. They found that was not really going to work out so well if they had to go to the ballot. So they've now found a different way to try to approach their city building effort. And we're going to learn more about it from NBC Bay Area as we close out Down Ballot Box Bingo this week.
First, they sparked controversy with a proposal for a utopian standalone city in Solano County. Now the group California Forever is back with another proposal, this time offering a massive upgrade to a city that already exists. NBC Bay Area's Valina Jones joins us from Suisun City, which may be ready to make that offer a reality. Valina.
California Forever is back with new plans to create America's next great city. This time they're setting their sights on land right here off of Highway 113, hoping to join with Suisun City in their expansion project. The vision, building a new city by expanding Suisun City, one of Solano County's smallest cities.
Rise together. And those three things excite me. I hope you heard my voice. And it's really why I explore.
Oh boy, you haven't reset your router since the last time the fucking power went out. Or maybe this is just the internet in Suisun City. Who knows?
Being able to do this is something we felt like we had to do.
California Forever submitted the new plan this week. It includes what they're calling America's largest manufacturing park, a shipyard, thousands of new jobs, and walkable neighborhoods with over 175,000 homes. Suisun City's city manager believes the proposal could help solve long-standing concerns.
My team's job, and frankly the city council's job, is to ensure that we hold the developer accountable to our process, to our core values of what we need this project to be for the city and our community.
California Forever's CEO declined to comment, but posted extensive details on X, calling this plan a small city taking on big challenges. Unlike the 2024 version that didn't make it to the ballot, this plan would go through Suisun City Council, not the county. It's already sparking mixed opinions.
They're going to take these towns and they're going to run all of the small businesses out of town. And they're, going to bring in big corporations.
The thing is, I just don't want it to be for purposes that are not going to affect the whole community.
Critics like Solano Together say this version isn't much different than a plan the county rejected before.
It's just bizarre to me that Suisun thinks that this is their salvation when the county thought it was going to be really, really bad news.
Dwayne Crom, a former county supervisor's biggest concern is the proximity to Travis Air Force Base and impacts on farmland.
It's a set of dominoes that can start falling when you start undermining the underpinnings, take out the underpinnings of our agricultural economy.
A city council vote on annexation could come as early as 2027. In Suisun City, Valina Jones, NBC Bay Area News.
That sucks. These people suck. Fuck these people. I don't know anything about Suisun City, but it seems like this is just like they were like, oh, well, I guess we're just going to try to purchase the city council.
Oh, pretty much, yeah, and just go around the will of the voters, the broader community, and just get what they want, and use a small city that's struggling to survive, right, and could use a good reboot or evolution as the guinea pig or the stepping stone to do that and to get what they want and create their little Norman Rockwell paradise, and more than likely it's all there just to generate tax increment and more money and more wealth for the wealthy. That's all it ever was about in the first place. That's all this is ever about, and it's just a more cynical approach of going. You can very easily elect 5 or however many council members they have, whatever you need for a majority with the money they have, right? You can absolutely convince enough people to vote for these folks to get what you want, rather than having to, make a case for to the broader community that this is something they want when obviously they don't want it. Hopefully Solano Together and others will continue to step up and push back on Mr. Slotnick or whatever his name is.
And that guy, man, I can't believe they haven't replaced that guy as the spokesperson. Man, they need to get a used car dealership with a kind of a how do you do handshake kind of guy to go out there and be like, why do they have a guy who you're like, are you heading up the Fourth Reich? What is going on?
Right. At least this time, at least they've realized maybe we shouldn't put him on camera. Just post his, X. Just put something out on X, right? As opposed to, putting him on camera because I think he just made things worse every time he spoke. We are not here to subjugate you. go over here. Do you want to have a shower? We have a shower. Right. We have a shower right over here. You want to try the new shower? It's going to be exciting. So yeah. Sorry, I apologize. That was probably in poor taste, but
right.
Anyway,
that's all right. You're only here once a week.
That's the name of the show, really. It's down ballot, poor taste, bingo. Yeah, so please, voters of Swoosin City, watch out. Don't let your city get bought and paid for by these a-holes, because you never know when Peter Thiel is going to be living next door to you and what kind of shit he might be bringing to town.
Well, I don't know what, if he's trying to get the city council to vote for it, because the way this works, right, is the city council. So you bribe the city council takes your bribe. I know their campaign contribution, it's legal, don't worry about it. But then they all know they're going to get voted out, but it doesn't matter, because if they get voted out, if you've already broken ground for it, now the next city council tries to put the fucking kibosh on it. Now you just fucking sue them.
Right. Yeah, no, it just becomes more challenging. Once something gets approved, it's hard to get the entitlements taken away. It's harder to get entitlements taken away than it is to get them in the first place. So, please watch out, folks. It sounds like they've got a pretty good BS detector up there, but you never know. And I feel like this is just something this idea will just keep bouncing around until someone takes it or takes the bait, or they find some situation where they can get what they want without anyone noticing. I wouldn't make a big deal out of it at all, frankly. If I were them, I wouldn't want it on NBC Bay Area News, right? It's completely, we're out of their jurisdiction. Even nothing I can do in San Jose other than complain, bitch and moan, and organize people around it. So if I were them, I would just keep it quiet and just try and do this as quickly and expediently and as quietly as possible.
They were probably pissed when it got on the news. I saw I forget what I saw. I saw it wasn't like a major news outlet. I think I saw like a lefty, some kind of lefty media that I follow, sort of talking about how they wanted to do it to Sassoon City. I know when the media wench was looking to move, Sassoon City was on her list. She'd be fucking so pissed off.
Yeah, right. And I imagine so. And she would organize too, and the kids would be out there knocking doors, I'm sure, as well. So we'll obviously keep an eye on this. It is one of the most down-ballot stories ever, and it doesn't seem to want to go away. So California forever will never die. That's what I called this story. So see what I did there? A little pun. Please be aware and stay tuned. And don't forget to vote. Don't forget to get out and get registered, even if it's on the same day as the vote in California, and make your voice heard.
All right, well, I'm going to put you full screen, and you know the drill.
Well, listener, viewer, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we do this almost every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. We will be off next week. Producer Dave will be doing some serious public comment from Shasta County, which is always fucking fun. So tune in for that. 5:30 Pacific start time for that, I believe.
That is correct.
And tonight, stay tuned for public comment after hours in the red light portion.
Well, Make sure that tonight we're doing a little bit of red light. We're going to go over the mayor debate in New York City.
Oh, that's going to be fabulous. So Zoran versus Andrew Cuomo. My goodness, what an interesting matchup. I think you all know where we stand on that one.
Well, there's some third person there, too, who I assume is a Republican.
Oh, that would be fun. We'll have fun with that. And everyone out there, make sure you get vaccinated. Make sure you wear a mask when it's appropriate. COVID is back with a vengeance. You don't have to wear pants because it's totally optional. This is a free country after all. We're going to leave you with Audible Smoke as usual. And we invite you to tune in to Down Ballot in 2 weeks on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. And peace out.
Time to get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing green. Here at the front of the stage waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink, spark it if you got it, and then pass it to me. Yeah, we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course, shouldn't you be inside?
I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rockin' me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jockin' me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily.
We do what we wanna do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band.
Molly say that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do.
We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, what we wanna do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back